bring him on. Pro wrestling author, Mike, and I apologize if I say this wrong, Mike Rickard. Mike, welcome to the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. Welcome in.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Thanks a lot for having me on. I saw some of your comments earlier on Sammy Guevara. I thought those were very interesting.
That's for sure. Yeah, it's tough. We love, especially for Nikki and Marcelo, we love AEW. We got engaged on the Jericho cruise in AEW. So we were so supportive of it, and we just wanted to see it succeed so badly. So we're very critical.
How was it? Which Jericho cruise did you go on?
So it was the second.
It was the second. It was January of 2020. So it was right before the world kind of took a dip.
Wow, talk about timing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Literally, we got back and we're like, oh wow, we probably were right around all that.
Yeah.
Whole time. But yeah, it was a crazy trip. For us, but a lot of great memories and just things that we love. With the ones we love, that's what I like to say about the show. The things we love with the ones we love. But Mike, definitely appreciate you coming on, and we definitely want to hear more about you. Obviously, your experience in the industry and in writing these books. I guess just to start, what kind of got you into wrestling?
Well, like a lot of fans, I believe my grandmother got me into wrestling. I know so many wrestling fans. Their grandmother was a big wrestling fan and started watching it with her and just couldn't help but fall in love with the Squared Circle. Started watching Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, aka Jim Crockett Promotions, and WWF during the 1980s, and I've been enjoying everything ever since.
Oh, absolutely. Nikki? Yeah.
You stole my origin story question.
I stole her origin.
That's always my question. Like, what's your origin story? What got you into this? So how did the love of, kind of growing up watching your grandmother got you into it kind of prompted you to kind of write 2 books, especially one against, the most infamous one of all?
Well, the Vince McMahon book kind of wrote itself. The first one was back in 2008. I was writing for a website called World Wrestling Insanity, and the person that ran the site, James Gutman, had written a book for a company called ECW Press, and I was doing a series on great moments in wrestling, and he suggested pitching a book, so I did, and I was very blessed and had opportunity to get that published. And fast forward to about 2016, and I started wrestling. I started working, sorry, not wrestling, started writing for the site WrestleMania, which is on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And did a lot of articles about Vince and been following him for decades. And once the scandal broke, I was like, wow, talk about a good time to write a book. So I basically spent about 2 months and wrote up the book.
So, what fascinated me so much about this is, we did a show a couple months back, with obviously the Netflix documentary came out, and like you were literally step for step, lockstep ahead of all of this, and it's just like it's crazy. Like obviously, the book came out several years back, but like, did anything post? Obviously, several stories broke. Did anything like? I guess what was the most surprising thing that you uncovered, or maybe even post then? While you were writing that story or that book. Right?
Well, one of the biggest things was I have a background in law, which helped me a little bit, and also somebody in my family is a CFO of a company, and they advised me on some of the board of directors protocol. And they were shocked, and I was shocked by all the stuff that was going on. It was clearly obvious that if the alleged activity by Vince McMahon did occur, that there would be some serious ramifications, not only for him, but possibly the WWE. So that helped a lot, because I knew I've heard throughout the years, we've all heard, anyone that follows the WWE has heard about his various shall we say, scandals or indiscretions. But when that Wall Street Journal article broke, it was clear that there was, some substance to those rumors.
for sure. You know, kind of like I think I was talking with someone about it. It was very. I hate to say like you compare it back to like the again different scandal, but like the Penn State issue a few years back. It's very like kind of institutional, right? Like there's so much going on, and that was kind of sheltered from. I don't know if it was the high level execs or whatever that came down. Yeah, just that whole situation is very eerily like similar in that component of just the power dynamics.
Oh yeah, and then you figure that it followed the Me Too movement, and there was also the Me Too movement in wrestling.
Mhm.
So it wasn't earth shattering for anyone that followed WWE, but
Mhm.
as we've seen before, the mainstream media, even some wrestling journalists, turn a blind eye to WWE, partly because they look down on pro wrestling and they don't consider the fact that it's a billion-dollar business, that it's a real business, and that stuff like this goes on.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you know what's interesting is like just kind of it's like there was talk that Vince was trying to buy the Netflix documentary. Did you ever have any issue like going to publication with this? I guess what did you face any issues pre-publication or getting this book out?
Not really. I was concerned that I might get some type of cease and desist from WWE, but I published this on Amazon, and there wasn't. Thankfully, there wasn't any problem. I made sure to check the facts and make sure that the verbiage was right and that I wasn't making any baseless accusations. I believe that everything in the book is well documented. The sources are well referenced. And it's just a question of, whether or not people believe the sources. I believe that some of the sources were spot on. And, this has to be determined at trial or arbitration, but it doesn't look good for Vince by any means. And obviously, TKO felt that he had to go because of the controversies around him.
Exactly. Nikki?
Yeah, and I think even if he watching the documentary, he'd be like, "Oh, that didn't happen," and all of a sudden they'd cut to like 6 videos of the thing happening. So it's just like I don't know, with like this delusion again, the power and delusion of him being in power for so long that he didn't like felt untouchable, and I'm maybe finally feeling not untouchable. But like, were you surprised at his like demeanor at all in the video or the documentary, or just like, yeah, no, that's what the research said. Like, of course he's gonna act like that.
No, Vince McMahon lives in his own world. He's the kind of person that he obviously has a worldview that what he does is justified, and he obviously doesn't see anything wrong with it. I mean, that's only my opinion, obviously. But when you see him, confronted and he denies things or brushes them aside. I mean, look at what happened when he had to pay money for the feds for his little mishap he had with the Securities and Exchange Commission, and he said it was a bookkeeping issue.
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, I'm exonerated," and it's like, no, let's not get too crazy, man.
I mean, as fans, what do you guys feel like when you see Vince McMahon on TV and then you hear about how he apparently acts behind the scenes?
It's tough. Like, for me, it's so tough. Yeah, it's like one of those, like, I attribute it to, and it's funny because the other day we were walking the hallways and someone was singing, like, it was a Michael Jackson song. It's like, it's like, how do you separate? Like, I feel like there's a way you can, but you're also like, like, you're just like, I hate supporting the person.
Yeah, separating the person from the artist.
Yeah, and I think it's similar in that component.
And it's for me, I feel like it's coming from a female perspective. It's so hard because I grew up watching the Attitude or rewatching that documentary. All the stuff they showed, I was like, I was allowed to watch this. Like, this happened, and it's like feels a little gross. But like we wouldn't have like where it is today or post that or how much I love pro wrestling, and as much as he's the reason why we have this, I wouldn't let him being crappy ruin pro wrestling for me. So it's gotta separate the two. And again, like on our podcast, I try to be like name redacted or we don't talk about him or like, and it's hard because how can you not? And like going into Royal Rumble season, we go back and rewatch all the old Royal Rumbles and obviously the one that he won or the one he's commenting on. I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, it is tough. It is tough to separate the art from the artist, whether it's somebody like
Yeah.
you said, Michael Jackson or Chris Benoit, but
Mhm.
I mean, he was part of the product, and I don't think they should remove him from TV, just like they didn't remove Chris Benoit despite the initial actions to kind of brush him under the rug. I mean, he was part of the product, but you
Mhm.
have to separate the art from the artist. But that doesn't excuse any misconduct. But he did accomplish a lot with wrestling, all things considered. But it's totally different than how he may have behaved behind the scenes.
Right.
Agreed.
It's a fine line. Well, let's take it to a little bit more
Let's
positive.
do it. I'm gonna pivot. So your other book, Wrestling Greatest Wrestling Moments, like could you like maybe book aside like your kind of like Mount Rushmore of what you think like greatest moments are?
Oh, the problem with Mount Rushmore is there's only 4, but let's see. I would say, and I qualify this with wrestling's greatest moments only covered 1980 to 2008. So there's a lot of good stuff that's happened since,
Right.
and a ton of good stuff beforehand. I'd say Hulk Hogan winning the WWF Championship,
Mhm.
formation of the Four Horsemen, NWO, and Austin 316. Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Now, how about you guys? Though, what would you think are the best 4?
Definitely NWO's gotta be on there as a moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 316 because he was just such an iconic. I agree with you, those two.
Do you have to go screw job? Because that birthed what we're here talking about, this Vince McMahon character that he was now this on-screen sort of, authority figure. And that's what, I know I think that's what people also forget is like his promo of him cutting a promo on Jake the Snake before he won or after he won King of the Ring. It was like, you have your Psalms, you have your John 316, well, I have Austin 316, so I just whip your ass. But then he didn't get the title shot for a hot minute in between.
Oh yeah, it's one of those things. It's funny you mentioned that, Nikki, because I talked about this in I have a YouTube channel called Wrestling's Greatest Moments. Cheap plug there, and
I love it.
We just did a video on some what ifs in wrestling. What would happen if, say, Ric Flair's career had ended after the plane crash in 1975, or what if Hulk Hogan stayed in the AWA? Yeah, if it wasn't for the Montreal Screwjob, I don't think the Attitude Era would have ever started. That's a great point. And Austin, with Austin 316, I see that as it's something that people can point to as a historical landmark, even though there were many other factors going on. Like you said, Mr. McMahon, if there is no Mr. McMahon, there's no Austin versus McMahon. Also, DX was Attitude Era way before this stuff. But Attitude Era really didn't take off until Austin versus McMahon, and that was totally due to the Montreal Screwjob, as you said.
Yeah, now I'm trying to think of like the other two that I really like.
And then do you go like the rise of John Cena? Like, to me, it's not, because I'm not a fan of John, but like ruthless aggression. Again, there was a big leap between ruthless aggression and when he actually took off. But if you're kind of liking it to the same as saying Austin 316, so I just whip your ass. I don't know. Again, John Cena is not remotely my guy.
I don't think of one moment for John Cena at all. Like, I can't think of a single like that.
Or like, do you go Pipe Bomb then?
I think Pipe Bomb was after the book was published, but Pipe Bomb. Now, if I was writing a sequel, and I did another top 10, which book starts with the top 10, Pipe Bomb would definitely be in the top 10. I think John Cena's babyface turn would be in the top 10 because that launched the John Cena / ruthless aggression. But what do you think, Nikki? What would be your top 4?
I don't know. because I'm so like, because the part of me is like, I know it's like it's Hogan, it's NWO, and it's all these things, but like I'm such like the anti-Hogan NWO. So not my jamborees. Like I like give me Randy Steamboat. Like that's more my speed. Would it be like I don't know anything Undertaker? Like the streak being broken by Brock Lesnar. That was. I literally jumped off my couch and cried. Like, that was a moment in history of him losing the streak. And I just feel like then him collapsing after that whole big thing. Like, again, same Mania, Daniel Bryan, if you want to talk. No, Triple H and my thing is me and my thing. But again, Yes-O-Mania, like this underdog that like they had like Michael Cole shit on him 3 weeks to Sunday because of Vince on commentary. And like literally I think maybe there's one time Vince conceded that like we forced him to do that triple threat because that wasn't his intentions. Like joke now, like, oh, that was always the point. Like, no, it fucking wasn't.
Yeah.
You know what? Just to throw out, and like, Mike, where would you rank now? So like, right from where your book left off, if you included the last, decade plus, right? Where would Cody's moment now count? Because to me, like that was one of the most emotional moments I had. In the last 5 years of being like, oh my, I just had to win. Like,
finish your story. Yeah, for sure. I think so.
Oh yeah. If I did another book, Cody would be in the top 10. I think Pipe Bomb. Let's see, the Yes Movement, AEW being formed. I think would be.
Maybe All In. Sorry to cut you. I think maybe All In.
Yeah, All In. I would. Yeah, All In might be a good way to psych into that. All In was such a pivotal moment. That's what's so great about wrestling is that even, I know old school fans might not like the new product. I don't like it as much as the old product, but there are still moments like All In or Cody's win that are still, they send chills down your spine.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of touched on that. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, there's a lot of different. Like, what is your thought of the AEW product? Obviously, there's been comparisons with WCW from back in the day, and like, what is your thoughts about the product and where it needs to go, or what it is now?
Well, it's funny because I saw you guys talking about it a little bit earlier, and I was thinking about it. I loved AEW when it first came out. I almost went to Double or Nothing, but I had to change plans. And I think the biggest problem with AEW is its success was greater than they expected. I mean, they were pulling in 1 million viewers, destroying NXT at times, coming close to Raw and SmackDown. But the problem was they thought that their product was so good, they forgot that a lot of the people watching AEW were watching it because WWE was so bad. And I think AEW got lazy. And when Triple H started changing things around and WWE fans started coming back, I think some of those fans are AEW fans who are, one, getting tired of the AEW product, especially after Punk left. And two, AEW just kind of had a sophomore slump. Even though it wasn't the second year, they kind of fell into a rut.
I couldn't agree more, like at all. Like that's so spot on.
There's so much with like, and we get all hyped because we do a lot of this on the show, like who returns, who debuts, like, and you get a lot of that push, that boost from all that. And I feel like Tony was going out and signing this great talent and assembling this great roster, and we were like, I remember it was like week after week, it was like out Malachi Black and like Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson and obviously Punk, but like, and it felt like it's like all these guys are main event caliber guys. And it's like they're going to AEW, and I can't wait to see what feuds happen. And just as soon as you got there was no booking.
There was nothing.
What do you think though? Do you think, because you're right, they signed some fantastic people. There's no doubt the people they signed were all quality talent, whether it was veterans or rising stars. But what do you think? Do you think they need to get rid of some of these talents? Do you think that they need more TV time? How do you think they could use them better?
Book them. book them better. Give me some story. Again, one of our cars and I have this conversation all the time. It's like, do I love a good flippy do match? Yes, I do. But do I also need some story sprinkled in? Yes, this is why we're here. Like, we're here for the stories. We're here for the soap opera. We're here for the drama. And I need you two to hate each other so much that I need to see you smack each other around in the ring. When there's nothing to that, you can only do so many flippy do matches. And I think there's these pockets of, we were talking like Hangman Swerve, Hangman Kenny, we're talking about Mariah and Tony. Like, there's these pockets of beautifulness surrounded by dog shit.
Will Ospreay's
just a guy. Like, make me care, make me buy in, give me a reason to care. Because again, the matches are top. Of course, you have the best. You do have the best wrestlers, but make me care. Give me something I can sink my teeth into.
What about you, Nick? What do you think are the biggest problems with how they're using talent?
It's very like Nikki and I it's tough doing the show sometimes because like we agree so much on some things, and it's just one of those like, yeah, like you sign this guy or girl and well, I should say, and they come in with all this momentum because they were maybe a champion or world champion, dare I say, like in WWE or wherever, like some other promotion, and there's just no buildup other than here's what you're gonna get a month of squash. What I will attribute to AEW squash matches, because they don't do squashes, they just do longer form squashes. I would say.
That's true.
Like it's just like you know who's gonna win. Like it was the other night, Nikki and I were watching. Who was it? I'm gonna get it wrong. Mark Briscoe, right? Mark Briscoe.
Mark.
And Mark Briscoe and who was he facing?
Hobbs. It was a match of him and him.
Lashley.
It was Lashley. No, because there was just like, why?
Yeah, and I'm just like, we know what the outcome is, but we're gonna get 10 to maybe 15 minutes of this match that you know there's not a shade of doubt who's winning this match. And it was like Lashley's second match, or maybe even.
And then then Mark got over more offense than you think. Mark, because Mark's a smaller dude than Lashley, and then like he was hitting his moves off the top rope, and like Lashley's selling them, and it's like, well, who is this benefiting? Like, if you're supposed to make Lashley look like a monster, you have a million guys backstage, like Ashley Andrade or whatever lower mid card guys you've got. Why are you feeding Mark Briscoe to him? Like, it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's another thing that drives me crazy about AEW is they're the exact opposite of Vince McMahon in that if you're a big man, you have no chance of getting any kind of push. Anybody over 6 foot, forget. Which is a shame because fans like to see their hoss fights, and every time AEW has a big man, they usually do the JOB to a much smaller wrestler, and you treat them as jobbers.
Yeah, we have the Wardlow. What are they doing? Wardlow again, Powerhouse Hobbs that we talked about, like him coming back.
Big Bill.
Big Bill should be bigger than he is, but he's in that Jericho vortex. He's in. As much as I love Chris Jericho, I'm kind of over him in AEW.
I'm telling you right now because it's going to happen. Because I don't know. I don't know if you follow like some of the Jericho Cruise stuff and but apparently Enzo was on the Jericho Cruise. So I'm telling you, I feel like it's going to be Enzo and AEW, and it's like some sort of fight for Big Bill.
That'd be fun though.
Big Bill in a pole match or custody of Big Bill.
Well, I know people thought they were going to do a custody of Dominic with Rhea and Liv at one point. That was a big buzz.
Yeah,
which would have been funny.
That would have been great. They put him in the Shark Tank. I guess
yeah.
Yeah, that was a classic. I mean, they talk about striking gold. I thought Dominic Mysterio was done, but as soon as he turned heel, I mean, the guy got over so quickly.
He's sitting pretty right now. Like, most hated, can't talk, like just making money. I really I can't say more good things about him.
Call me crazy. I could see it huge in the next 6 months, some huge
crazy face turn.
Yeah, for him and
Liv's gonna turn on him. No, I don't want him to worry.
Yeah, I think they're going that direction. That's always a beauty if you look at the old school wrestling. When somebody's at their peak, whether they're a baby face or a heel, that's often the best time to turn them. And it'd be interesting. I think Dom could pull it off. I just like him as a heel so much. That would be like if MJF turned babyface for real.
Mm.
He was there for a hot second.
Yeah. I just can't buy it. He's one of those guys that's, in my opinion, 10 times better as a heel than a babyface. But he can do either one.
It's Flair. It's the Flair thing. Like it's that to me. It's like very much like Ric Flair's they're just so good that you don't want to boo them because they're so good. And you're like,
true.
Yeah, and you just like I get it, but it's like the same thing we were talking about earlier with Charlotte. It's like she's good, like, but she's not a face. Like it's much harder. I think it's much harder. I think nowadays to be a face than it is to be a heel.
What do you think, Nikki? Do you think?
No, I'm sorry. I was just saying. I feel like everyone's kind of said that it's just easier to be a heel to just get booed, and I feel like more people, like Stephanie McMahon was just on a Pat McAfee show that saying she loves being a heel, she loves to be booed. I don't know, what's your take on that?
Well, I've heard from so many wrestlers. I know that from a work point, they like to call the matches, which I'm sure makes their job easier. And two, I think it's easier to get heel heat than it is to get babyface heat, especially now, or babyface appeal, because fans can be pretty brutal. And the days when all I had to do was show up and say, I like Mom and apple pie and the American flag, and you're over, or way in the past. So you really have to be careful that you're not seen as a pushover, and you also have to watch out because if your opponent's hot, they're not going to cheer you no matter what the opponent does. I mean, look at Undertaker in his early years. He would lock people in coffins and various antics, and the fans still cheered him.
Yeah. It's creatures of the night.
That's right. Or I reckon Hulk Hogan's neck with his pile driver that missed by 4 or 5 inches.
That amongst other, we were joking earlier about Josh, who's a friend of the show. Where I said like Kevin Owens pile driver, because they were doing ECW, they do ECW watch-alongs, and they're talking about all the spinning pile drivers. And I was like, every ECW pile driver makes the Kevin Owens package pile driver look like a Hulk Hogan chair shot. If you recall, like Hulk Hogan had chair shots, like literally, I remember, like they're like literally like 3 feet away from his head. To the point where like, I don't even know do you know where the camera guy is? Like, like mailing it in half the time, or like
Hulk Hogan's career is mailing it in.
Yeah, it's bad. That's another thing. What really grinds my gears is how moves have lost their impact. I mean, back in the day, you hit somebody with one chair shot and they were dead. Now, you hit a guy with your finisher on the chair. You send them through 3 flaming tables and you only get a 1 count. I mean, the problem with that is it sets the bar so high, which is why the flippy floppers are constantly trying to outdo themselves, and they end up in intensive care because they're just not thinking of their bodies.
It's also like with Cody Rhodes doing the crossroads. Like, one used to be a thing, and now he had to defeat Roman, AJ with like so many crossroads. Now I feel like you need a new finisher because like the crossroads is not doing it anymore.
No, you're 100% correct. As soon as he started doing the when he started doing 3 crossroads, I was like, exactly like you said, Nikki. What's the point of using that move? I mean, the crossroads is supposed to be fantastic. I can't think of many wrestlers that use more than use their finishers at least 2 or 3 times during the match.
Yeah. My biggest pet peeve about finishers is like anyone who uses like Big Show. You use a punch as a finishing move. Like Logan Paul was for what? Like then why doesn't the match end in 5 seconds every time you come out?
So you're saying Hands of Stone and Lacey Evans didn't have
exactly like the like I love the name. I love the idea behind it, but like it's like even like to some extent a lesser like the bull hammer for like Wade Barrett. It's similar. It's similar. Like at least he's doing like a little bit more.
Like Wade Barrett.
I love Wade Barrett, but like the same thing. It's like that one. At least he's doing a little bit more motion to it.
Yeah.
But like just a straight right hand to me, like that killed me. The Big Show's WMD. Oh, then just why don't punch everyone in the face all the time?
Yeah, that would end the match in 5 seconds, like you said.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He doesn't want to be running around everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, no, go ahead, Mike.
Oh no, I was just going to say I wouldn't want to take a punch from Big Show.
Yeah, I mean, agreed. I'm just saying. I just finish. Give me that choke slam. Give me that spinning choke slam that he did the first time he debuted off the ladder.
Yeah.
That was great.
What's your pet peeve, Nikki?
My what?
What's your pet peeve about finishers?
Oh, well, I was kind of going to go the opposite direction, trying to be a little positive, because apparently tonight had been super negative. So I was trying to be positive tonight, which I didn't think I was being negative. But I love that they're protecting this package pile driver that KO has been doing.
Yeah.
And then it's like they've been structured, like Cody got structured off, like Sammy got structured off on Monday, and then Penta coming in, who I really love as package pile driver, hasn't been doing it. So again, it's this move that only KO is doing right now that looks devastating, because every time he hits it, like we haven't seen Randy. Sammy got carted off. Like I like that they're Steven. Oh, how he don't like spears.
Yeah, how did you miss that one?
Because everyone's like, "Oh, Nikki's negative today."
No. Actually, we need to get into this. So what?
Is this the roast of me tonight? I don't know what's happening.
Nikki's biggest pet peeve
is a shitty spear.
Most of Nia Jax's work. Now it's just everything.
No, and I love Jey Uso. I'm very happy he won the Royal Rumble. Yeet, Mania, get it, girl. He has a shitty spear. I'm sorry. When you see earlier in the night, Braun Breaker hitting that crazy spear on
What about Ricky Starks' spear? He does a weird spear.
I haven't seen him wrestle in over a year. I don't remember his spear.
That's a fair
Ricky
point.
Starks. That name rings a bell.
One constantly.
Mike, what'd you say?
Sorry.
Ricky Starks. That rings a bell. Where have we heard that name before?
He needs to be in WWE real quick.
Another one of the toys that are just.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about the spear. It's cool. It was cool when Jay started using it, but I think the spear is one of those moves. You got to be the right size. I mean, unless you're wrestling a small wrestler. I mean, Braun Breaker is probably the best spear I've seen since Edge in his early years.
Yeah, I know. Lisa just put in the chat. I agree. Like Edge had a good spear. I don't like when Jay spears. He tucks his knees. To me, also again being a football fan, watching football, when you're spearing, you need to go full. Like it looks like a cannonball.
Well, he's a football player. I think the football.
Yeah. So again, like Roman's also done it here, but right now I think Braun has the best for me right now. Again, when he is 25 a mile an hour, whatever they're calling it, like that's like when he hit speed, like he broke that little boy in half.
Not gonna throw the Charlotte spear in there.
I'm a fan.
That kid never had a chance.
Steven.
What about Rhino? What about Rhino's?
No, that was the goal.
There it is. He did it. Josh did it. Oh,
Gore again. I don't know. I just feel like he tucks his body like he's doing like how
Sorry.
That's what I said. I was like, Steven, how dare you besmirch my Britney? There's two Britney mentions on the show this week. Mike, welcome to our happy hour.
I love it. I love reading the comments. Rhino was great. I was a big Rhino fan. WWE, TNA. He had a great spear.
So here's the thing.
I don't know about Timberlake though.
Did he have a great spirit? Did the guys just sell it? He was working with like.
I feel like Rhino's a bigger guy that puts more into it. To me, like Jay seems like small. Again, don't curl your. Even when Rhino was doing the gore, I feel like he didn't tuck his knees. Don't tuck your knees.
All right, what would you rather see?
Oh, God.
10 straight super kicks from Jey Uso or one Jey Uso spear?
10 super kicks all day, baby. Super kick party.
Well, God rest his soul, Chris Adams is rolling in his grave right now when he sees how the super kick has been reduced to a transition move.
Seriously.
Well, same with the DDT. Like,
I'd say Jake Roberts, but
Jake the Snake is such a special place in our heart. Love him. We met him on the Jericho cruise when we got engaged. Was the sweetest. But again, like the DDT is such a transitional move now. But again, you got to up and up and up and up and up.
You know, so we were talking about this. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Josh in the chat. We were talking about this because he was watching the ECW watch along earlier, and Stanman was on, and it's a move. I told this to Nikki. The Russian leg sweep is a move that's never done. Like an old school move that I love, and I think it looks great. It's just never done. It's just like talking about like other moves like kind of throw away like DDTs and super.
And I said to you, it looked different because again, maybe Josh, and you will correct me, but like he usually did it with the cane, right?
Yeah.
So like putting the cane in your mouth and doing the leg sweep was like beautiful.
yeah,
Like you're doing a leg sweep kind of without a.
Well, no one does it. Period. Bret Hart used to do it. Like Bret Hart, and then what's his name? Oh my
Double
God.
J.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Jeff Jarrett did it too.
Yeah, he reversed it into like the front face buster kind of.
Yeah.
Deal. But other than that,
Skull crushing finale.
I wonder, like,
True.
part of me is like now, like tinfoil hat is like, maybe because Jeff Jarrett has like some sort of Russian leg sweep derivative that you can't do the Russian leg sweep or else you won't get booked. And
Well, I want to know why I never saw a Russian wrestler use a Russian leg sweep during my time growing up during the Cold War era.
that's true. Yeah, that's a great point. Oh man,
Nikita Koloff,
Yeah.
Ivan Koloff, Nikolai Volkov, even who was the guy they had in the 2000s?
yeah, I know exactly. I was about to name and now with Santino, right?
No,
No, not
Kozlov.
Kozlov, yeah.
What?
He wore the little bowler hat with Santino.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Kozlov.
But was it? Yeah, was he Russian? I think he was Russian.
Vladimir Kozlov.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Rusev was Bulgarian.
Yes.
Yeah. DDT. I mean, there are certain moves. I agree with you, Nikki and Nick, that the pile driver right now, WWE is really protecting it, and I think certain moves need to be protected like that, like the DDT. Obviously, Undertaker's tombstone was treated like that. DDT, we all know. I mean, that used to be it. One DDT, and that was the end of the move. Now everybody uses it.
Yeah, there's all variations too. Like you have the double arm. You have I know Jacob's using it now, but like Gangrel was the first one to use the implant. I think that I remember to use the implant DDT, where you like the suplex into the DDT.
Oh yeah. Now what do you think about submission holds? Which ones do you think are pretty much useless in the same vein as the DDT now?
Good question.
Armbar.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho. Armbar. I don't know. They're so. I know there's like. But doing like there's like I feel like better like the bell lock, doing the Kimura. I feel like they're such better than just again maybe I love Becky Lynch, but the disarmer you're literally just putting your.
So I have a good theory on this. Now that you asked this question, I don't think any moves submissions are obsolete for this reason. Because if you can sell me that you're in that much pain that you have to tap out, then the hold is justified.
That's a good point. I think we've seen that a lot more with WWE, especially with Gunther using his various putting people in his various holds and his opponents like Damian Priest selling them, and Randy Orton when he wrestled Randy Orton and what was it, King of the Ring, really sold it as affecting the match.
Yeah, well, let me give you an example, right? So AEW does this with the what's it called, the not War Games, their equivalent,
Blood and Guts.
Blood and Guts, right? You have to quit, and like the last couple times, people have quit not because of submission, because like, oh, I'm gonna bash like a chair in your face.
Jack Perry.
In theory, right? So we're talking kayfabe. In theory, I can quit in the match whenever because of whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you still always have that. So using with that thought in mind, like even something like Pete Dunne's finger clap move, I don't even know what he calls it, but like something like that, in theory, like someone's got a broken hand and he threatens to do that. Yeah, like I'll tap out. You could sell me on that to finish to a match.
Yeah, I agree. The problem is he breaks fingers every match in WWE.
Yeah,
Doesn't
that was
know
not a
it.
good example.
I know. No.
Just like who was it? Alberto Del Rio when he was breaking arms. It's like
Armbar.
how many opponents are you going to have if you're breaking arms every match?
Well, I think that looks good with Penta doing that. What they're calling the sacrifice. They're so stretched this way, and then Neville / Pac doing the what the flip is it? I forget the name of it. It's not. Oh, Steven, what's Pac's finisher?
Pac? Oh, he calls it the shoot. No.
No,
Nah.
because
He used to call
the
it
brutalizer. It's
Oh.
the brutalizer. Jesus.
Oh yeah,
That looks vicious. Like, again, I think it's the person that's doing the move, and again, the selling of the move. I think Neville hitting the brutalizer looks tough. Like him, Penta now bringing the sacrifice, that looks tough. Again, I don't know. Joho said in the chat, like the ankle lock, like you have to be the right person to hit it on the right person.
yeah. The ankle lock was a great finisher. I mean, even Chad Gable makes it look good. Oh, his opponents make it look good, but he makes it feasible where you think that his opponent's in trouble. Although I don't like the fact that they're still doing the feud with Otis and Alpha Academy. That thing should have been ended a long time ago.
Yeah.
Now, who do you think are the top 5 guys that could help turn AEW around? Whether it's guys that right now that are being pushed or guys that are at the top
in AEW.
I think
Yeah.
that's EPs for me.
ESP.
I'm sorry. Swerve, hello, star. Heyman should be a star. Like, even like Daniel Garcia should be a star. Again, this is why I'm sour grapes tonight, but Tony Storm, star. Like, those four alone, book them to the moon. Like, you have Deanna Peraza they're not doing with that. The girl can flip and wrestle. Like, do something with her. There's so many people. Again, like, even like the little guy, like Action Andretti, like, what are you doing with Top Flight? What they did with Private Party. Like, there's so many people that they can build up, and they're just not. As much as I love John Moxley as much as the next person, but I'm like, all right, Portia, like, John Moxley needs to take a vacation. Take Renee somewhere nice.
How about you, Nick?
Well, they have so many, like, so just looking at like the crowd, right? Like you have Bobby Lashley that you just brought in. It's super over already. So like when you bring in all these guys that have an organic following, like why not put them in the main event scene? Like I think Hangman's the most, like with the current roster the way it is and the storylines. Like I thought Hangman's probably the only one who makes sense to take the belt off of, that has enough momentum. That's a main event talent to take the belt off of Mox, other than Kenny Omega. Like, who's going to come back to do that in this storyline? So to me, Hangman, Swerve are the ones that they built up organically. Tony,
MJF.
MJF. Like, I would definitely build around MJF. Like, what they're doing right now with MJF is a complete waste.
Yeah.
It's just, so you're going to, like, to me, it's just, he's a big, our dog just completely crop dusted the whole room. But, like to me, you're putting him with all these main event talents, what he perceives as main event talents, like and I like Jeff Jarrett, but like and Dustin Rhodes, legends, just to try and keep him busy for a little bit. But why? Because he's still your biggest draw, better than anyone at the company. So why are you putting him in that position? Give him a legitimate feud. Give him either the belt. Like he would do so much more for the belt right now than John Moxley would with that storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I know with MJF there might be concerns. I don't want to put him into a big program because they don't know when he's going to leave again for a movie. But why not take advantage of him? He's such a commodity. Exactly.
Like it goes back to like what Nikki said, and like just like the charisma. Like the guy draws, and they just keep doing this week after week. Every segment, whether he's talking or wrestling, is still the biggest drawn segment for them. So I don't see how you don't build every main event, or at least the main supplemental storyline next to that with him.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. The booking in AEW is very baffling at times.
We struggle with on this show literally almost every week.
Now, I have to say I couldn't agree with you more about Purrazzo, because she came in and she was another example of what you guys talked about. Somebody gets a push for about 3 weeks and then they're gone. Same with Camille. I mean, Camille was another person. I don't know what happened. I don't know if you guys heard anything behind the scenes.
No, I heard. So she had that tweet supposedly where she
criticized him.
Yeah, she criticized Tony, and then it's just like you're in
Girl,
prison
bye.
forever.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about Tony being thin-skinned, and when you hear story after story, sometimes you have to wonder if there's some truth to it.
Mm.
Well, I mean, yeah, even like other I see we follow a lot of podcasts and things like that, and you see people tweeting, and he's responding to a lot of the tweets. It's just don't take the bait sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Do you see anybody in the women's division? I know you mentioned Tony Storm and Purrazzo. Do you see anybody else that could really kind of take it to the next level?
I love Julia Hart. I know she just came back from injury. She was on a huge run before she got injured. I really love Julia Hart. I think Princess Amanata, Queen Amanata, oh my God, her title right is good. I like Blue Sky. They all have the same fucking names. Like Sky Blue is also coming back from injury.
Sky Blue's super over.
Yeah.
And so if she continues to improve in the ring, I could totally see her taking that.
Again, what are they doing with Athena? She's been the longest rating ROH Women's Champion ever because they don't book her do anything. Why are you not doing anything? It was so excited for her because Vince did jack all with her.
Yeah.
So her coming to ROH AEW was good, do something with her. And yeah, she's been the longest rating, but she's done nothing. Again, there's so many hidden gems in there, like Sky Blue, I think Julia Hart. I know you don't like her, but Josh said Willow.
Yeah, Julian Willow.
I think they're not doing anything with and Jamie Hayter. I was so flipping excited for her to come back and her doing the 70s gimmick. I can't stand.
I know.
If I'm not my Jamie Hayter strong.
Yeah.
But
another one I forgot came back because they gave her a
Steven Thing Harley. She's so charismatic and good on the mic, and just her personality is so interesting. I'm kind of glad. I think at this point she's kind of stepping away from Paige Saraya at this point. Saraya. But I think there's some there's such little nuggets in there.
Hot potato goes on in that whole women's division.
Even then who? I'm gonna mess up her name. Who's been
Thunder Rosa?
No, I'm not a Rose fan. Steven, who's been the only woman that Athena's been wrestling? Billy
Starks.
Is it Billy Starks?
Yeah.
Okay, because I wanted to say that, but then that didn't sound right for me for a second. But that's been the only. That's been the only two women fighting in ROH.
Something title.
Thank you, Steve.
Why don't they use some of the AEW women that aren't being utilized in ROH?
Because they're not using the women in ROH either. Billy and Athena.
Yeah, I haven't watched ROH. I think the last time I watched it was when Daniel Garcia, I think, was it Daniel Garcia had the Pure title?
Yeah, the Pure Championship.
Yeah.
Minuta, we're battling over that.
That's another thing. They have 12 titles in Ring of Honor alone.
Yeah, Pure TV, Tag.
That's another thing. Do you think there's a thing as too many titles?
Yes.
1,000%.
Which titles would you get rid of in AEW?
Trios
for sure. Honestly, Mercedes Moné and her TBS can go kick rocks.
And Continental. That's a stupid thing.
Yeah. There's and then also, is that the one that Okada has?
Yes.
Then what's the other one that Takeshita has? Because
maybe that is Continental. There's international. No, he is international.
Again, make that one thing.
International. They basically want to have an intercontinental title and they can't say it, so they make two.
They both can go.
What about, do you think the AEW women's division needs a tag team title?
I go back and forth.
Not the way they're booking it.
No.
They need only one title to figure it out.
What about WWE? Do you think they have too many titles?
I think so. But I don't want to necessarily. No, I agree, because I can give the same to shit on AEW, not shit on WWE about the same thing. I don't think you need, and for men's and women's, an NXT tag and a Raw and a SmackDown. Same, like the women's tag team was supposed to travel, and it hasn't traveled in a while.
No.
Again, the men's and women's North American. Again, if you have, and I'm like super Chelsea Green with that women's United States.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. You confuse me.
No, I'm saying Chelsea Green with the women's US. I think that's also can travel. Like, I don't necessarily think you need a women's IC and North American and all three of them. I think maybe travel, mix it up, but I don't want to see like Chelsea not have a belt. So I don't like, you can condense. And again, I like having the past couple of weeks where we had this transfer window and people were kind of circulating to different brands. I think that's more interesting than having just a SmackDown and a Raw, and we're not getting really much of them either way.
Well, that's always the problem, I think, with titles is they're only as good as how they're being booked. I mean, AEW has a ton of titles, but they haven't really made anything stand out other than the very top tier belts. And then you've got ROH, where it seems like ROH is almost like filler.
Whatever, I think lower than filler.
It's their NXT, but
I think it's lower than
NXT. I don't think they have TV.
No, it's Honor Club.
Now, is ROH still like pay-per-view, or you have to order the service or something?
They have Honor Club, and then you can get their pay-per-views through pay-per-view, or the very few that I've ordered was through Triller.
Yeah.
And what do they charge for ROH?
Oh God, I don't even remember.
Well, ROH, yeah.
I think it was like 30.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like AEW. I think that's probably their best product is their pay-per-views, but it's really tough to pay $50.
It's a 6-hour extravaganza, and I can't do a 6 hour. Like right now, besides obviously Royal Rumble, but like Hell in a Cell was like that sweet 2-hour 45-minute mark. Like that's your sweet spot. A 6-hour pay-per-view, I can't do it. Like I fall asleep and have to rewatch it.
Yeah, it's tough, especially when they start at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even the pre-show.
Or 2:30 in the morning, like just Saturday. Or next Saturday.
Like 7 to 6.
Oh, is that this Saturday?
No, sorry, next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
Oh, that's crazy. That was like when they had Elimination Chamber in Perth.
Yeah. Oh, well, that was 2:30 p.m. though. This is AM.
Yeah, no, this is AM. This is after the All-Star Game Eastern Standard Time. So whatever that is for you.
It's like I attribute it to like remember like ECW. It was like, oh, ECW's on at like 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
So imagine if you stayed up for ECW and you watched the whole ECW, then you took an hour nap or a half hour nap, and you're like, oh, they're still wrestling on. Hello, Australia. But it's not. It was always intended. Sorry to cut you off. It was always intended, according to Tony, to not be on a pay-per-view.
Oh, okay. Okay. All I know is 6 hours is a lot. $50 is a lot for shows. I hope that they move it to max and maybe cut the price down a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, that's your lipstick on here. We've been talking like literally the last like 3 years. We're like, Max? Is the next announcement? Is Tony's big announcement they're going to Max? No. It's like no, Dynamite after like
2019.
Yeah. Got all of Dynamite from 2018 can be viewed on Max this week. Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, Max is a great channel, even if you don't want to watch AEW. But I was really hopeful they'd move the pay-per-views over there. Now, when it comes to WWE and keeping things positive, what do you think of the 2 Royal Rumble winners?
Jay, I've grown to accept. Again, I don't think personally when we talked on the podcast, I didn't think Jay didn't cross our minds. But when's the last time we were like, oh, I'm surprised by the winner?
Yeah.
In a minute, and to me, Nick gets mad that I use this. It's like, well, Charlotte wins. Well, Charlotte wins. You're trying to get this Triple H moment. It's not working. I don't care about Charlotte.
Yeah, she's not a good face, but I see what they're building. Like Charlotte Tiffy was definitely going to happen. It was a surprise, but I don't know. I don't think there was a clear-cut person that needed to win it this year, so I'm not really like disappointed or upset in any way. So I think we're pretty like last time you're going to hopefully build up someone new, a new champion in Jay, and build up the current new champion in Tiffy.
Yeah, I'm excited honestly for 2026. I'm ready for new kids. Give it to Braun.
25.
No, 2020. No, 20. Like the 2026 for a Rumble.
Oh.
I'm ready for Braun. I'm ready for like my Chelsea Green, like Dakota Kai. Like I'm ready for like a new let's bring up some new crop. A new crop. Charlotte did not need to be the first 2-time women's.
but Mike, this has been an absolute pleasure having you aboard. We love.
Oh, thank you guys. It was been a blast. I had a great time. Yeah, thanks for the promotion too.
No, we love having you. We're looking forward to it. Before we let you go, like where can everyone find you? And obviously all your great writing here.
Well, they can go on Amazon and check the book out. And I have my YouTube channel, Wrestling's Greatest Moments. And I'm also on X, Mr. Old School Mike. But it's been great talking with you guys. And I'm looking forward to the WrestleMania this year. And hopefully talk to you guys down the road, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Mike, once you come in, you become a regular. So you're always welcome back whenever you want to come in. So we would love to have you back. Now it's WrestleMania season, so.
Absolutely. Come back and talk.
Well, send me a shout out and I'll be here.
Sounds like a plan. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Mike Rickard, pro wrestling author. Nikki, new friends.
Making new friends. It was fun.
Yeah, fun talking wrestling. I love it.